Yes, we will start, as we said, the Golden Eaglets, their victory. It was a bit of a surprise at the beginning when Nigeria's Golden Eaglets, they beat Mexico 6-1.
6-1.
It was amazing. We thought, oh my gosh, these guys are truly amazing. Mexico 6-1. And then they went on and on and on, and it became absolutely apparent that this is a bunch of an extremely talented young men who were put together, who worked together, who seem like they're going to make history. And indeed, they did.
3-0.
In
Not
the final.
one.
Not one.
Three.
Not two. Not even 2-1. They did not concede any goal in the final, and they won 3-0. So,
I mean, that is absolutely amazing.
yes, but joining us this morning, we have right here in the studio, Kunle Sholaja, who is the general editor in charge of sports at the Sun Publishing. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Good. But we will start actually by going straight to Dubai, where the Minister of Sports, Bolaji Abdullahi, is on the line to speak with us, because I spoke with him last night and we did say that we've got to hear what's the position of government. I did hear that the president has also congratulated the football team, the Golden Eaglets. But Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi, good morning. How are you this morning?
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
I am in great spirits, and like all Nigerians, we're all celebrating.
Yeah. It's a very happy day for us. The sun is shining.
Now, tell us, what is your, how did you see the match? You were watching at the beginning, the first few minutes, there was no, within the first 10 minutes, there was a goal. And it was like, yes, definitely, these guys are up to something here. They're probably going to knock them out with another 5-0 or 6-0.
Oh dear.
No, we know it was going to be a very difficult match. We told the boys repeatedly that they should forget the 6-1 result of the first game, that this was the final. So, and the boys knew that they were ready for that. Then it was also important, like everyone was saying around the boys, that we have to make sure that the Mexicans didn't score first. So I think the early goal did help the game to settle. And of course, those of us that were also sitting around the stadium, it brought down a bit of pressure from us. But we're confident that we're going to be victorious, and we thank God. As you could see, the boys were very confident. They were very dominating, and throughout the game in all departments. So it was not just that we had a good result, but the boys played a very good game.
Okay, if anybody will know, you should, and I'd like to find out from you, and I'm sure a lot of Nigerians are still wondering, where did we get to find young, talented kids like this in this country and put them together? And for how long did we put them together to be able to get this kind of result?
Well, I mean, the question of where the talents came from is obvious, and the answer to it is obvious, because this is a country that has over 70 million young people. And lack of talent is never the problem. But talent is like a seed. You need to plant it, you need to nurture, you need to water it, you need to nurture it, you have to groom it before it becomes something useful. So we have talent all over the country, especially in football and other sports as well. But what happened was that in the last 2 years, we took a decision to start a project that resulted in this amazing result. When we started a little over 2 years ago to begin to assemble this team, we resolved that we're going to assemble truly young children. And the coaching crew did an excellent job. They were dedicated. They went around this country. They screened the children. They screened them repeatedly, and of course the first test was the African Championship under 17. where we came up as runners-up. Even though we're not happy with the result, we knew that what the team could do. Of course, returning from that championship, the technical team went back to the drawing board and came up with this set of boys. And every Nigerian should be proud of what we have achieved with this, because even at the highest level of football management in the world, the world has not seen this kind of talent in a long, long time. And I'm quoting the FIFA president himself, that the world of football has not seen this level of talent in a long time. So something we are proud of, and that's why we keep saying, for us, this is a project that we take pride in, and that has led us to this where we are today. Everyone has worked very hard, and we're very happy for the results.
Okay, Honorable, this is not the first time we're winning the Under-17, which is the beginning of football, so to speak. What plan is there for a follow-through so that these young boys will grow into the Super Eagles, who will now conquer the world the way they did when they were under 17?
Well, thank you very much. Incidentally, this is the question that everyone has been asking us since yesterday. But you also agree with that managing this enormous talent is a lot more complicated now than it used to be in the past, even when we had the opportunity. Of course, the challenge is always how to manage the transition, like you said. But even already all kinds of scouts and clubs have started making initiatives and approaching them and wanting to sign them up. That we're saying no. For us, we are going to manage these children. We can't keep them from exploring their talent. We've shown them to the world. People will come after them. We can't stop them. But the question is, the big challenge will be, how do we manage that transition? How do we ensure that they are not exploited? How do we ensure that they don't sign themselves into slave contracts? How do we ensure that they are playing football where they have potential to grow? Then how do we ensure that they keep coming back to play for the national team? I think it's a system that we need to build, a system that we've started building that give us this result. But I think winning the championship, while it's very important, great result, but managing the transition of these boys to make sure that this talent does not evaporate, like you have mentioned, is going to be the big challenge. And we're already talking about it, and in the next couple of days we're going to sit together to look at various options that will win, not just for Nigeria, but even for these boys and their families.
Okay, Honorable Minister, I was just thinking as you were speaking, I was thinking that it sounds more like there are more questions than there are answers. Does it mean that now that this has happened, you're going to go back and get on the drawing table and begin to map out strategy for their future? But it's more a case of there's nothing planned yet for their future. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I cannot say it's nothing. You don't forget that these children are not in any bond. They don't have any response. They don't have any obligation to us. We didn't sign them, and they have a responsibility to explore and live their lives, So, but the question is, how can we help them to grow to be great athletes, great professionals, to explore their full potential? I can tell you now that, we have everything worked out, don't worry, but that will not be exactly correct. The answers, my responsibility is to put together people who have the answers, who have experience. Bring together people who have succeeded, like Nwan Kokano, who rose from under 17 to become the iconic champion of football. Look for people who have shown great talent at under 17 and failed, and why did they fail? And help to manage these boys. In the next couple of days, people will be giving them all kinds of things. How do we ensure they don't derail? How do we ensure they keep their head down? Managing human beings is not like building a house or building a street, So,
yes.
But in terms of system, we know exactly what we're going to do at the federation level. The technical team that put these boys together, we know exactly what we'll do to them. We know that these boys, when they leave under 17, they should go to under 20 and begin to look at how to infuse them to the Olympic Games coming up in 2014. So that's very pretty simple.
Okay.
But managing their career itself is a different ballgame entirely, and it's a lot more complicated, and there's no one answer.
Honorable, the main reason why these children go into playing football is because they want to play and be seen throughout the world. That is why they're playing football. They want to be seen by people who are going to come and pay huge amounts of money for them. So how are you going to stop that? That's their life's ambition. That's why they're playing football.
Exactly the point. We're saying the same thing. Now you've shown them to the world. They have talent. They want to go to the world. They want to go out there and play football, which is good for Nigeria to see these boys playing for Barcelona, playing for Real Madrid, playing for Chelsea and Arsenal and all that. And some of them playing for Enyimba, playing for Rangers, and playing for Kwara United, and for so it's good for us. It's good for them. It's good for their families. It's good for Nigeria. But how do we manage them? We've seen so many of this happen in the past, where you see a great talent sign himself into a slave contract that he will not be able to get out of until it has expired. So it's our responsibility now, as surrogate parents, to manage this transition for those children and to make sure they are not exploited and they don't get blown up by the euphoria of this moment. So that's the point I'm making.
Okay, Honorable Minister, we have to begin to thank you for your time, but just before you go, we know that we have seen this happen. Was it 1994 when we had them, when we had the Kanu group?
1993.
1993 when we had 1993 when we had those young people when they went out there and they won, and then they won the Olympics. It was in 1996 they won the Olympic, but they won the under 17 in 1993. We've had this before. And everyone thought that golden era, when we had so many of them, that we will go on to win the World Cup. It never transformed or translated into that. What is it you're going to do this time to say that in the next 5 to 6 years, we will see the World Cup come to Nigeria because we have the talent that's outstanding enough to win it?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, we're going to win the World Cup in the next 5 years, we're going to win the World Cup. But what I'm saying is that we have a responsibility to build a system that can deliver the results. When we started with these boys, we're not saying, we are going to build boys that will win. But we want to build boys that will play excellent football and look at how that system. It's a system that we built, and in that system that delivered this result. So how do we continue to strengthen the system at a level that can deliver at the global senior championship level? So that is the challenge. What we have lacked in the past is building systems. If this is working because President Goodluck Jonathan is the president, is working because somebody is minister or somebody is FA president, then there is a problem, because when those people are no longer in offices, then we have a problem.
Okay.
So the challenge is, how do we build a system that is sustainable, that endures? And I'm saying that that's what we have to work. Those of us have primary responsibility to work on over the next couple of months to make sure that we begin to build a system that other people can. It doesn't guarantee anything, but we can only do what you need to do, and I can assure you that we will do all that it takes to strengthen the system.
Okay, Honorable Minister.
It's not just by chance that we are winning now. It's not by chance we won the AFCON in January. It's not by chance that we won the. So it's a system that is beginning to yield results, and that's what we are seeing.
Okay, Honorable Minister, just as you're going, we wish you safe journey back to Nigeria. We know you're still out there in Dubai. We wish you safe journey back, but some people were already sending messages out on Twitter, Facebook, and even BB saying this is part of the transformation agenda. Is it?
Yeah, certainly, and that's what I'm saying. I'm proud to say that the transformation agenda of Mr. President is working. Already, even 2 years into his administration, he will, with this result, he will go down as the most successful president in sports in Nigerian history. I mean, winning the AFCON in January, winning this on the 17th now, and I'm very confident, inshallah, qualifying for the World Cup next week. So, I mean, we're holding the 3 records for athletics on the African continent, the senior, the junior, the youth. So I think already so much has been achieved under the transformation agenda, and that Mr. President has done all that he needs to do. We have to continue to work at the assignment that he has given us.
Okay, Honorable Minister for Sports, Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi, thank you very much for joining us all the way in Dubai. We wish you safe journey back, and we're expecting to have you in our studio live here, most likely with maybe the captain and the coach of the Golden Eaglets. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So we come back to the studio.
Yeah.
Kale, very interesting. You watched the match.
Yes, I did.
And let's start from the very beginning. The first game. What was your thought when you watched them?
Well, certainly nobody expected a 6-1 demolition of Mexico as a football playing country in the first instance and as the defending champion. So nobody really expected that. But then we must also give kudos to the Mexicans to be able to come back after a 6-1 defeat. You are talking of young boys of that age, to be able to muzzle up enough confidence, to build up confidence, and then move on to the final match. But that feat is not something that has never been done before, because if you can recall 1990 African Nations Cup, it was in a similar vein that the then Super Eagles was really beating Black and Blue by Algeria 5-1 in the opening match, and then we were still able to get on to the final, even though in that particular instance we lost by a lone goal. But then you are talking of young boys. For them to have done that, we must also not lose sight of the fact that what the Mexicans did is an extraordinary achievement. But that is not taking anything away from the Nigerian side, which has shown so much resilience. For the first time, one can see a Nigerian side that was able to string dozens of passes unintercepted. And they have telepathic communication among themselves. It's as if they've rehearsed the 90 minutes of play prior to coming into the pitch. So as a person, I'm very, very proud of those boys.
Now, when you look at the fact that they won the game against Mexico in the group competition, and then they got to the final, and it's the same team, how did they manage to not feel too confident to the point where they lost it? Because there's always that feeling when you beat somebody 6-1, I can knock this one silly.
Yeah. Well,
but please, let me also add that the other person is also coming that, oh, that humiliation of the last time, we can't afford to go through it again.
Exactly.
So they come more determined than ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's where I was actually going. The pressure was more on the Mexicans. That, well, we've been beaten before. This is a side that can still beat us, but it will not be as humiliating as it was before. It was with that same feeling, mindset that even the Nigerian team, I was in Algiers in 1990, remember, we knew that the likelihood of the Nigerian team being beaten was there with the crowd and everything behind the Algerians. But we also knew that they cannot beat us the way they beat us in the first match. So, but all said and done, the group from where the two of them emerged was, before the tournament, was described as the group of death, but because of the strong teams that were there, even with Sweden being debutant in that in the competition, they were seen as a potentially strong side. But for the first time in over 80 years of FIFA competition, 3 teams from the same group stage got to the last 4, and they emerged first, second, and third.
Yes.
And in the same order that they were at the beginning of the competition.
Group stage, yes.
So it was an extraordinary achievement for the 3 of them: Nigeria, Mexico, Sweden. So if you look at the whole thing, what I can just say is that the Nigerian side still, I mean, we should not just go to bed with the fury of our win. But now, winning is good, but sustenance is certainly better, because the whole world will now beam their searchlight on us. Okay, you have won. There is that. Let's not lose sight of the fact that there are elements all over the world probably thinking that that win by Nigeria was not just a fluke, was by cheating. So, and it is now incumbent on us to prove that it wasn't so.
Cheating, how do you mean? How do you mean by cheating?
I mean, these are age-graded competition.
Yes.
So there's that tendency to say that, okay, a typical African, when he's 20, he may look, because of the environment in which he's living, he may look 16. Therefore, you can feel a 20-year-old to compete in an under 16 competition, because there's we don't have proper obvious documentation and all those things.
But it is obvious in this case there is nobody crying foul that there's any chance of any cheating or underhand thing going on. All these kids are young kids that they have a track record. They're not the kind of kids that you will say, oh yeah, they were signed on to Enyimba 5 years ago. How come they're still 17?
And all these ones were even from academies.
They are from academies.
So that's what I'm saying. I say it is now incumbent on us to prove to the world, to show to the world that we are truly an emerging football nation. To be ranked in the same level that you put Argentina, you put Brazil. So that's why I'm saying that our winning is very good, but we should now put into place a program that will ensure that we sustain the winning, not just at this level, but at higher level. I mean, the last set that competed in this competition, the 2009 set, that failed to win even at home. But the pride of it is that we have somebody like Kenneth Omero, who was not even, I mean, it was not too extraordinary in that competition. But now he's playing top flight football. He's in Chelsea, and he's a key player in the Super Eagles. That is the kind of things we want to see. We want to see somebody like Iwako Kanu coming from the under 17 and going straight into the Super Eagles. That's what we want to see. We want to see somebody like Apobore from the then under 16 moving into the national team, and the likes of Victor Ikpeba. So we want these things to happen, so that it's not just we have won and that's the end of an era. It should be the beginning of an era.
Now let me take you back to this age matter. Doesn't FIFA have any way of checking these children before they actually play those matches?
Yeah, they have. Before, they relied mainly on their passports, that the document presented by the government, because every government is expected to be truthful. But now, they felt that was not working. Now there is this thing they call the MRI test, in which the bones of individuals will be subjected to analysis. And from there, they will know that whether this person is within a particular age bracket or is outside that age bracket. So that's the only means now of ascertaining whether a player is under 16 or under 20.
So it cannot be said that we won by cheating.
No, certainly it cannot.
Because FIFA has confirmed.
Yes, they have confirmed.
And is convinced that these children are actually under 17.
Yeah, under 17. Even looking at their faces and the way they express themselves, you know that these are young boys who are still kids.
Okay. Now, what are your thoughts about how we can maintain this momentum and guide these boys such that we will see a large number of them in the national team?
Yeah, it's just about sustenance, ensuring that they are constantly playing actively in clubs, whether local or foreign.
International.
And we know that most of them, obviously, even parents, we want to encourage them to go abroad and play. So we know that. I remember in 1985 when we first achieved this feat, an extraordinary feat as at that time, because no team outside Europe and South America had ever won any football competition at global level. So Nigeria was the first country to do that. And there were extreme suggestions then that, oh, those boys, the Ubade captain side, that no, they should be kept together. They are government property. They will not be allowed to play for clubs. Some people then told her that that is not possible. Football is about constantly playing competitively, and it's when you are in competition that you tend to improve. And for instance, looking at this team now, look at somebody that Awoniji. Awoniji was supposed to be a fringe player in the squad that just won the under-17 cup now. But the person we all placed our hope on was Isaac Promise. Incidentally, injury knocked him off, and somebody came in, and the fellow was almost competing to be the highest scorer of the competition. So, in a similar vein, there are thousands of players that were not fielded yesterday that can still blossom and even overshadow the current one if we put into place a proper system that will ensure that talents keep oozing out of Nigeria.
Okay,
that's a word that is not very well. It's not our favorite word in Nigeria. System. That's what we need.
When you look at these young kids and you look at the matches that they played, yesterday it was made clear that we scored 27, 28
20.
Was it 27, 28 or 29?
26 goals.
26 goals, okay. I had
a record for the competition. Because the record before was 24 by Germany.
Yes.
Now we have exceeded it.
Yes.
And we exceeded the one set before in 1993 by Nigerian team, 23. That was Canon Wanko set.
Okay, now with 26 goals, it means they are free scoring and they did not concede too much.
Yeah.
And they won the fair play as well, which means they're not touts, they're not the kind of boys that play rough, so they play quite well. Now, when you have a team like that through the entire competition, what do you do to ensure that each one of them emerge in top flight football around the world?
Certainly,
is there something that the government can do?
There is little that the government can do in that regard, because like the Honorable Minister said, they are not under any bond with government. They are free playing players who are also free to sign contracts with clubs both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. The only thing that could be done, because at their age, they can sign themselves into slavery.
Indeed.
So that is where we should now encourage match agents, players agents, to, if possible, we tell these players, don't just go on your own to go and sign any contract, because they are still young boys who may not even know their rights from left. You just give them documents. You are going to play in Europe. They may not even know specifically which country. They will just say you are going to play in Europe, and the excitement of going to Europe is such that the player will just say, where am I going to sign? You just sign without really knowing. So that is where they now have to be guided. The FA had to really get these people to talk, to tell them of their plans, so that they can really guide them into, to avoid signing any. You remember something like Hagaowa. Hagaowa faded out because the urge to go out was so strong in him that he just wanted to go and play abroad. So that, but in the end, he signed himself into slavery, that even he could not even leave the club until the club was fed up of him. Okay, we can now dispense of him. He's no longer useful.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, Ralph.
Good morning. Congratulations, Alero, and congratulations, my brother. Congratulations, Nigerians. What another feather, golden one indeed, coming to a golden nation. But first of all, let me leave the political aspect of it. I wanted to find out the people that represented the president, the senior president and his team. We've not heard from them. Are they missing? What happened? That is one. Two, sustaining these boys, I want to encourage the Sports Council. If and when Nigeria qualifies for the World Cup, please, even if you call it a picnic or whatever, take them along, 22 of them. Let them go and witness the World Cup. I'm telling you, as a consultant, how so many nations do there. Let them go to Brazil. What is their work? Sit back, watch the World Cup. At the end of it all, there are scouts that are coming for this World Cup. They're not necessarily going to pick them to play for Arsenal Man U or whatever, they have their feeder teams. Like Arsenal, if you notice what Arsenal winger is doing, he picks these boys at the age of 16, start training them. This boy you're talking about from that is playing for Chelsea now was a Nigerian fullback. That's how they picked him. Man U has there. Now, my friend, who I'm waiting for him to come back, I'm calling from away. I'm going to advise them, help these guys because they have this contact. Fix them in some of these feeder teams. Then from time to time, let's say in January, bring them back, get a friendly match for them. Let them play as a team, not by the way they play now. Let them play against Togo, let them play against Ivory Coast. Go back to their feeder teams and continue. When it's time for under 20, bring them to start. Graduate them with their coach because these things are experiences. And please, leave politics out of it. Tomorrow, General Donchumbali, General Tuangatis, General Raphael will not bring his son because the president is not rewarding these people. Please, my son will be there. I am senator, otherwise we are act of the office as this. If you don't politicize it and allow this person, I heard about Abubakar, I heard about Ian John, I heard about Owuni, and we're all rejoicing. This is the only figure that brings Nigeria together. I'm making sense out of this. Get politics out of this. My brothers in yesterday will not remember Boko Haram. Everybody is happy. We will not even remember that people are not in it. After strike, I was telling somebody yesterday, I said, I wish they can record that strike for the sake of these boys because they need to go back to school. So please, 2014 World Cup, these boys should go. They should be allowed to go and witness the World Cup. After that, fix them in feeder things in Europe and follow them up with what they call them friendly matches. Whether with against this freedom in future and the rest of them. That way, they're going to put it. But finally, where is our Senate president?
Thank you, Ralph.
And the team that
Thank you very much. You've made your point.
Okay, thank you. Now,
can you want to react to that?
Yeah, well, you remember when the Induka Bagde set won the under 16 Kodak Cup then in 1985. 1986, they were actually in Mexico to watch the World Cup in Mexico, then even though Nigeria didn't really qualify. So it's a good idea because it gives the players a little exposure to see how the boys do it at the senior level. And they are not just watching it on television, they are feeling it, they are seeing them live. I think it will be a novel idea because in the end, it's almost obvious that we will qualify for the World Cup and there will be delegations in Nigeria.
When it comes to football, we're always so optimistic.
And most of the people who will be there will not be not the type of football crowd you will expect. You will have gentlemen there who will just fold their arms at the VIP box. That is, if at all they get to the stadium. So they fold. That was a good pass by that fellow. I think no, that's not the kind of person people want at the stadium. Somebody who you could see Papillo yesterday. He was hailing. He was shouting. That's the kind of person that footballers will want to see at the stadium, not somebody who will be there as if he's in a mournful mood. So, and these players will be.
Actually, I was going to ask you now what Ralph said there. Brilliant idea, and emphasis in Nigeria is always send these guys to feeder teams in Europe, in America, in different parts of the world, but not local.
Not America.
Not local.
Yeah.
And when you think that our local game, the reason we're having serious problem is because our local league is not doing spectacularly well.
Yeah.
So what do we do to make it such that let's begin to think of them as being in the feeder team for Enyiba, from 3SC, for Kano Pillars, and so on and so forth? What do we do to make it such that they are feeders? Because England, America, and Asia, Europe, they are feeder teams for Barcelona, for Real Madrid,
Messi
for Sevilla.
From the
yes. So if you have that locally, then it will enhance. And because we don't have it, what do we do to make our local?
Earlier on, we spoke about system. That when a system is in place and we allow it to work, then other things will fall in line. The professional football that we are playing in Nigeria here since May 1990, if you look at the guidelines, every club, every professional club in Nigeria is supposed to have a feeder team. But how many clubs in Nigeria have feeder teams? None. So thinking of sending them to feeder teams in Nigeria is probably a thought that will easily evaporate, because no club in Nigeria has feeder team. What clubs in Nigeria do is that every year you sign new players. There is no club in Nigeria has put up anything like, I want to groom stars. Barcelona groomed Messi, and that's why Messi, who had health challenges and was almost written off as somebody who will barely walk, let alone run, has now become one of the best athletes the world had ever seen at this age of ours. A club groomed him, and he is so fanatical. He's an Argentine, and he's so fanatical about the Spanish club that the thought of ever leaving that club is not there, because the club groomed him.
Okay, just please hold a thought. We've got Chooks calling in from the UK. Chooks, good morning.
Yeah, hi, I'm Talks. I'm calling.
Okay, Talks, please go ahead, make your point.
Yeah, I mean, for the first time, we see young players getting to progressive football. I mean, this is what we've been looking for. The reason why I'm so happy with these guys is, I mean, over time, we know that we field over 8 players, and then we lie to ourselves that these guys are winning. But for the first time, you can see on the faces of these guys that they are really young and they've done Nigeria proud. So I'm just happy to say that I mean, we need to know what we're doing and be honest to ourselves. And I think with that, we'll go a long way as Nigerians. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, I'm sure you've mentioned something along that lines just earlier. We have no concern over that. But as we begin to wind down then, the local league you were saying, what do we do to enhance the local league to create a system that would work for discovering and developing talent?
Yeah. The league, the national league that is most followed globally today is the English Premiership. But the English Premiership was just like any other league up till 1992, when that league was repackaged into a Premiership league. Before, they used to have the normal league, say Division 1, Division 2, and so on. Until the idea came, okay, we want to have, first and foremost, we must have the vision. Then when you have the vision and passion, then you now think of, how do I achieve these goals? That, as at now, appears to be lacking. We don't have the vision to say, okay, our vision is to even make the Nigerian league the best in Africa, the most attractive in Africa, the one that will attract the crowd. So they packaged a league that was so lucrative. It has good television backing, and it was beamed to the entire world, and the entire world pay to see these matches. And they spaced the matches in such a way that on an average day, at least 4 Premiership matches will be shown. Then it goes on to the next day, and sometimes it's spilled into Monday. So it becomes a very big spectacle that is churning out money. And as long as churning out money, the money is being plowed into the clubs. And as long as the money is being plowed into the club, the players are earning more. And as the clubs are getting good players, they have money to even buy, to nurture those players, and to even buy bigger players. Before, in Nigeria, we used to have players all over Africa coming to play in the Nigerian league. But today, it's the other way. Nigerian players even going to Sudan when there is war there, going to Benin Republic, because those leagues were more lucrative. But if a sponsor pumps money into our league, the bulk of that money goes into administration. Those administering the league, instead of really going into the object of that league, I mean the players, the clubs, you have clubs being run at losses. So, which should not be so. And as long as that is happening, the crowd will be dwindling, the fortunes of the clubs will be going down, and we will just continue to be, the Nigerian League will just continue to be an academy for the world.
What is the explanation behind the fact that we have most of the clubs that are doing well in Nigeria being state-owned?
Well, that has its genesis to 1987. Before 1987, most clubs doing well were privately owned. We have Leventis United, you have the ACB, you have the stationery stores, Abiola Babes. But in 1987, under the aegis of the Nigerian Football Proprietor Association, and that was when you truly have club owners. Not now, when people who are appointed to run clubs, we appropriate the ownership of the clubs to themselves. Because most of the clubs now are owned by governments. And it is the government, it's the various state governments that can really, in true sense of it, say we are the club owners. And when they are making a demand, let it be the state governments making such demands. But all of a sudden, there is, privately owned clubs just went down. And as long as clubs are being government owned and run, there can never be any progress. Because in most cases, you put people who are aligned with the government of the day, with the political party of the day. I remember in 1982, Chief Lekon Salami was a staunch supporter of MPN, was a chieftain of the MPN. But when the fortune of Shooting Stars was dwindling, Chief Bolage of UPN appointed him to come and run that club. And that club that year won the league. So I wish we can have a similar scenario where you will look at somebody to run a club for you.
The best man to do it.
The best man to do it, irrespective of whether it's yes, that is just it.
Yes.
Okay, Kole, thank you very much. We were speaking earlier with the Minister, the Honorable Minister for Sports, Bolaji Abdullahi. And then we've also got in the studio Kole Sholaja, who is the General Editor for Sports at the Sun newspaper. Thank you very much for coming this morning.
It's been nice being with you.
Yes. Well, once again, congratulations, the Golden Eaglet. Congratulations, Nigerians. Everywhere you are around the world. We had talk scholars from England just a few minutes ago. I guess everywhere in the world, Nigerians were watching.
They were. And Nigerians are happy.
Very happy. Well, Sunrise is not going away. We're just taking a minute break just so that we play some of our commercials, some messages. Please don't go away. Join us again.